Podcast Answer Man, episode number 32. This show is sponsored by AG Design.
Need a new website, logo, or artwork for your podcast? Visit ageedesign.com today.
Hey everybody, Cliff Ravenscraft here with your new episode of the podcast Answer Man. Today is a very special show where I've interviewed Cali Lewis from geekbrief.tv, one of my favorite video podcasts out there. I just wanted to preface this interview with just a note that after the end of this episode, there was some post-show discussion that unfortunately I did not continue to record the post-show. I should have. I apologize. But I was able to download the audio, the very reduced quality audio version from TalkShoe. And so just stick around after the end of the show for the post-show discussion. Thank you. And without further delay, here is that interview. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast Answer Man. My name is Cliff Ravenscraft, and this is a podcast devoted to podcasting. And I am very excited to have with me today a very special guest in the studio, via Skype, actually, anyway. We have Cali Lewis from geekbrief.tv. Cali, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Cliff.
I am very excited to talk with you because you are among a few of the first shows that I really got interested into when it came to podcasting. Of course, there was Leo Laporte and Adam Curry, and of course, then there's Father Roderick. And when it came to video podcasting, there were a couple shows out there, but the one that stood out the most to me was geekbrief.tv. And the reason why is I am a total gadget head and early adopter of everything technical. And so it was definitely a treasure when I found your podcast. So for me, it's a very real honor to have you here today.
Thank you.
Now, for those who are listening to this, first of all, Cali, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the podcast Answer Man, but the audience that you and I are going to be speaking to today are people who are relatively new to podcasting. They're starting to understand the ins and outs. However, there are some seasoned podcasters who are always on the edge of their seats looking for the next big thing, the next new technology. And so we have a wide range of listeners to this show, but every one of them are very, tech savvy in a way, and they understand a little bit of the jargon when we talk about RSS feeds and syndication and podcasting. So just so you know who we have. But for those who might possibly not understand what geekbrief.tv is, what would you say in your own words is Geek Brief?
Shiny, happy tech news.
That's simple, right?
It's that simple. It's 3 to 5 minutes, video podcast, of course. And we cover technology news, gadgets, anything that we find interesting and exciting, because that's really the most important part of what we do when we're formulating the show each day is what do we want to talk about that we find exciting, so that excitement comes through.
Absolutely. You got a podcast about something that you're passionate about. And if you're not passionate about it, people realize that. And sometimes it's really weird. It depends on how passionate you are. People who are not particularly passionate about that subject will follow passionate people who are. So
sure, yeah. And I don't think you can keep something going if you're not passionate about it or if you don't find it interesting. I could never have done this for 2 years if I didn't love what I do and what I talk about.
Well, let me ask you, how did Geek Brief come about? I mean, how did this whole thing start?
Well, we found out about podcasting on NPR. Adam Curry was being interviewed on NPR, and we just sort of were really interested in what he was talking about. And he mentioned the Dawn and Drew show and his show, The Daily Source Code. And so we just started listening to those shows and got really interested in the fact that this is a whole new medium. This is an amazing thing. Anybody in their house can do this, And it was the first thing in 5 years in technology that really captured our interest and we were really excited about. And so over the next couple months, we followed Dawn and Drew as they quit their day job, and we followed Adam Curry as he was working with to grow and to create Pod Show, and we were really interested in what they were doing. And as Dawn and Drew quit their day job for that day, I remember the whole episode. We we said, we have to do this. We're going to do this. We are going to quit our day job and podcast full time. And
so when was that? When did you say that approximately?
I believe that was in October of 2005.
Okay. And when did it become a reality?
It became a reality in May of 2006 was when we announced it. No, it was 5 months to the date that we started Geek Brief. And so from the concept of, this is what we want to do, it was about 7 months.
Now, when you made that declaration, this is what we want to do, and I want to do this for a living. Now, first of all, let's back up just a moment, because you've said the term "we" a couple times. Explain to us who the "we" is.
And "we" is Neil, my husband, and I.
All right. And your first name is not really Cali.
Right.
This is all confusing now.
Yeah. We, the three of us. All
right. So
Callie and Luria and Neil. No, so my name is Luria Petrucci. And that is a great name. I love my name. I think it's a beautiful name. But, there are a couple of things about it. It's very hard to Google, very hard to pronounce, very hard to spell. So that, together with the fact that the idea behind Geek Brief initially was that I would be the international director of the Geek Intelligence Agency, and I would come to people's the spy watches, spies all around the world, and I would give them this information. And so there's this whole alias feel behind it, and so it just made sense for me to have an alias, Callie Lewis. So that's what those are the two reasons why we chose Callie Lewis to go with that. So, and I don't care. Like, people ask me, "What do you want me to call you then?" And I respond the same to both.
So it's not totally weird for you for
no,
real people to just as naturally as day as night call you Callie on a consistent, regular basis.
Yeah, just like people have called me because of Gloria. People have called me all sorts of things my whole life. Gloria, who knows what. And so now with Callie, if anybody calls out Kelly in a public situation or anything, I still respond to that because I'm used to people calling me a different form of my name.
Right.
And so I respond to it. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So now you and Neil are in this together. How long have you guys been married?
8 years. Coming up on 9. Wow.
Now, you guys were both tech heads. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've both always been into technology, and we had an internet company before the bubble burst. And after that, we kept our company going for a little while and then just kind of got burnt out and said, okay, we need to take a break, pay off some of our debt that we've been racking up trying to keep this company going. And so we stayed out of technology. Even though we kept up on it, we didn't do anything in the world of technology for 5 years. And that's when podcasting came along, and that's what brought us back.
Now, has it ever scared you, the whole being a part of the bubble and bust and all that stuff before, going into this realm of technology for a living once again?
No, not at all. I think it's different. Yes, tons of people are, getting tons of money and stuff right now, but it's different. It's not the same. It's just not the same. I don't know.
No, I understand.
So no, it doesn't scare me, even though my ears do perk up when people, I see a post that says, oh, we're in another bubble, but I just don't believe it.
Right. Now, what's a typical day in the life of Neil and Callie as you're working on production for GBTV? What all's involved in that?
Yeah, it's a lengthy process. It used to just take us at least 12 hours. We've gotten that down to 8 to 10 hours by just streamlining some processes. So what the process is we do research, spend a lot of time on that. That is one of the biggest parts because there's a lot of information out there. There are a lot of gadgets being released most of the time. Sometimes we have days where there's nothing.
Right.
But we, just again, finding the stuff that we're interested in and excited about. And so we go through that process, write it, and then edit it, and then we shoot it. And that's probably where we've taken out the most time of our production. Is it used to take us a couple of hours to shoot. Now it takes us about 30 minutes to shoot. And after that, we get it into the computer, we edit it, compress it, and upload it. And then we tweet and pounce for the world to know.
Wonderful. Now, one of the things that I've noticed is that there's been obviously this gradual improvement in quality. I noticed that the sets change. Of course, sometimes so does the living arrangements of where you guys are living. I'm glad to hear that you got out of the apartment that was making everybody sick. I followed this. It's amazing how many people get to know us as podcasters through just following just even short little clips of our lives that are brought into to video or audio form, and people really get a sense that they know you.
I love that, though. That's what podcasting is all about, because it's not, just saying, or you just saying, here's the information you need to know. Bye. It is a conversation, and it's a relationship.
Yes.
And I hope I get to know some of my viewers as well as they get to know us through email and stuff like that.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I like to focus on here on the podcast Answer Man. And I believe that's what really brings true success to any podcaster. It's not all about numbers. It's about relationships and community. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I've heard you mention on several occasions. And I know this to be true from my own experience with you. And that is that you answer all emails. Is that correct?
Yes. It may take me a while sometimes, but I do my best to get to every single email.
And, now some people think that that's just crazy. It's impossible. And there are days when it seems impossible, and you just want to hit the purge button and start fresh and new. But
absolutely. It can be overwhelming, but when, at the end of the day, I hate using cliches like that. Never mind. But you know what I'm saying? It is the viewers, and it is that relationship that keeps us going. If we didn't have that, yes, we could be making the money that we're making at podcasting, but it wouldn't be worth it. It's not that driving force that the viewers provide.
Right. Now, when it comes to establishing community, obviously, people get to know you from watching your videos, and they also get to know you possibly through sending an email and getting a response back. What other tools are you finding effective in helping to establish community with your viewers and listeners?
Ustream.tv has proved to be a huge plus in that area. It's been great. We just get on Ustream and have a chat, and it's replaced Second Life because I don't have to type. I can just talk. So that's great. And I can do other stuff, at the same time. And Twitter and Pounce are turning out to be great forms of entertainment and conversation.
Twitter is an amazing tool. Now, obviously, I have this affinity towards Twitter. It's the first one I really signed up for, and it's the one that I could actually tell my mom, go to twitter.com/GSPN, and she'll just understand how it works. It's that nice and that easy. But it's a phenomenon, isn't it? In such that, you really can build relationships through 120 characters.
Right.
Isn't that
weird?
Interesting?
It's so, it's really weird. And I for months, let's see, maybe about a month, I said to anybody who asked me to sign up on Twitter, no, I'm not going to, because what'll happen. I'll post once or twice and I won't do it anymore. And I just didn't want to do that. But one time somebody said, well, why don't you let us know when a show has been released or something? And that's the way you can use it, as opposed to chatting. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, that's a good thought. And so I went ahead and signed up and started posting about show stuff. And then I got hooked and I started posting about anything else. I try not to Twitter spam, but sometimes there's stuff happening. So
now, geekbrief.tv, that was your first podcast then?
We had another one, and that was audio. We were trying to be Dawn and Drew. They talked about their lives and themselves and stuff, and we're not Dawn and Drew. So we quickly moved on to Geek Brief because we knew that it was what would enable us to quit our day jobs and podcast full time.
Now, had you guys had any experience using video equipment and video editing and all that technology?
Not at all. No. That's one of the great things about our story, I think, is that we just jumped right in and we didn't have a clue what we were doing. And so we just figured it out. And as our audience was growing so quickly at the beginning, we spent so much time just reading and learning and asking questions and finding out the answers and growing, um, and trying to, make our production better and better, and just trying to figure out what it was that we were supposed to be doing, because what we were doing at the beginning, had technical issues, of course, because we didn't know.
Right. What advice would you give to somebody who was going out and either starting their very first audio podcast or very first video podcast? What are some of the top tips that you would give them, learning from all the mistakes that you've made?
Well, there are two things that I suggest to anybody who is doing either an audio or a video podcast. The first is do your research. Understand what it is that you want out of your show and find out how other people have accomplished that same thing. So there are thousands and thousands and thousands of podcasts out there. And behind that is the podcaster who has figured out what they're doing. So what it is that you want to do, go find that other person that has figured it out already. Ask them questions, find out. The other thing is pay attention to audio. And this goes for both audio and video, because most people still listen in their earbuds. And so if you have bad audio, it can be annoying to people. So, it's just make sure you're getting the best audio quality that you can. And for video, I'd say, again, and this goes for audio as well, but video, it's really, really important. Let your passion shine through. Don't be afraid don't hold that back. Don't be afraid to let it go, because we as viewers need to see that. We need to see that passion, and it keeps us interested.
What has changed in your life as a result of Geek Brief and its success?
What has changed in our lives?
Yes. How's your life been affected or directed in a different path than now that you've had this very successful video?
Well, I used to go to bed at 8. Now I stay up until 1 or 2. My whole life has changed. There's nothing I can pinpoint that hasn't changed. It's Neil and I are still who we always have been, but our whole lives have changed just in day-to-day life. It's just I'm just trying to pinpoint anything, but it's everything, really.
Let me ask you this, because there was this one point in time when I used to get a lot of emails and voicemails from this one individual, and so much that I felt that I knew him. Now, I had responded to his emails in our audio podcast. I had responded to the voicemails immediately after playing them, so I felt like I already had this relationship with this one particular listener. And I'll never forget the first day that I actually took the caller ID off of the voicemail that was left, and I picked up my phone and I called him just to say, hey, I'm sorry I missed your call. And there was this one moment, and it totally just really rocked my world for just a moment, and kind of like increased my pride and everything else that went out of control. But he kind of had this little take back. He's like, this is Cliff Ravenscraft? No way. Can you remember the first time you ever had that kind of moment with anybody?
I'm not sure if I can remember the first moment. At the PME the first year, 2006, that was the first time I was in a public setting where people really knew who I was. And that was the first moment when I kind of got crowded, like everybody sort of came up to me and wanted to talk to me. And that was probably the first whoa moment. Like, why do these people want to talk to me?
Yeah.
Because it was like I always associated that with Leo or Leo Laporte or Adam Curry, these people who are big names, and that's what I see with them. And so, it wasn't to that scale, but several people were coming up, and I had a crowd around me, and people weren't able to finish their question because other people were coming up and saying hi. So it was this really interesting kind of feel like what you're talking about.
It kind of gives you a perspective on some of those people that you've always put up on a pedestal, that perhaps maybe at the end of the day, they're just normal people too. And that's really what I think it was somewhat of a life-changing perspective on a lot of the people that I admire. And so it really opened up my eyes to the fact that, these big people in our eyes, they're very much approachable.
Definitely. Yes.
And so that's something I think is healthy to come out of this. Now, one of the things that I wanted to use that question to lead into this one, there are some people out there that you had, as far as, you looked up to. And some of them are the same people that I do. And in fact, there are 3 people individually that I just have this high respect for, high regard for, and I think of them as superstar celebrity status. And that is Leo Laporte, obviously.
Of course.
Dave Ramsey, for good reason. And then Mark Lowry.
Oh, yeah.
These are all 3 individuals that I think you had the same kind of status in your own mind about those people. And tell us about your encounter with each of those individuals.
Well, let's start with Leo. Leo, I watched him, through the Tech TV days. And so I think he was a huge inspiration on me and my passion about technology. So I co-hosted with him for 3 months on his Call for Help TV show in Canada and Australia. And it wasn't until the 3rd month that I actually realized that the thought actually came into my mind that I was working with Leo Laporte. Like, it all felt natural until then. And all of a sudden, I just stopped. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm working with Leo Laporte. So it was funny that it took so long to figure that out. But everything, all the people that I've met through podcasting, it's all felt very natural. And when we do have the conversations, I don't think of them as celebrities or anything like that. And so they're just people. Right. And so Mark Lowry, that was a funny moment. Neil was sleeping and I was up late. I couldn't sleep. And so I was checking my email and I got an email from Mark Lowry. And so I clicked on it thinking, that's interesting. And it said, can you please stop talking so fast? I can't keep up. I'm too old to keep up or something like that. And I wanted to write him back, but I had to wait until Neil woke up. I was like, is this the Mark Lowry? And so we chatted and quickly became friends just because we have a lot of the same passion about technology.
It's kind of funny because Mark Lowry is somebody that I knew well before podcasting became popular. And of course, he wrote what's now a very popular Christmas song, Mary, Did You Know?
Yes. And,
I've always known who Mark Lowry was, enjoyed his comedy videos, but really, honestly, I had almost forgotten about Mark. And it was through having him with you on geekbrief.tv that kind of brought him back to the forefront. And then, of course, I started, checking out his little video podcast that he would do either from his living room or the tour bus and stuff like that. So it's amazing how that all kind of revolves and turns around.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of crazy. It's just that all these people are kind of involved in. And Mark, he's just really interested in doing podcasting to do it. He loves editing, and so he does it to do that, at the same time, and he just has fun with it.
Now, tell me about Dave Ramsey. Now, that guy is simply amazing. Has changed really, literally hundreds of thousands of people's lives, including my wife and I, who are, praise God, now debt-free except for our mortgage and except for a car that we very fortunately have lots of equity in. But don't tell Dave, okay?
Okay, I'll keep it quiet.
But anyway, obviously he's changed our lives. I hear he's changed your life too. Is that correct?
Well, it was interesting. We actually started the process of getting out of debt before we knew about him, and I think it was either the day after or the month after, I can't remember which, but it was really soon after we got out of debt that we found Dave Ramsey. And because he taught a lot of the same principles that we were going on to get out of debt, we latched onto it. And he's really inspirational. He's incredible because he doesn't talk down to people. He'll get on to people, but it's in a very loving manner. And I just really enjoy his show, and it's an inspiration to keep going and not to fall into debt.
Absolutely. And so how did it come about that you got to meet with him and go into his studio and how did that all happen?
We've mentioned Dave Ramsey on the show a couple of times, just in passing. I think the first time was when we when the iPhone was launched, and we said something like Dave Ramsey wouldn't like this or something. I can't remember exactly what we said, but something about paying $600 for a phone, although we paid cash. And when we said that on the show, it was just a quick little mention, and several people from his office emailed me saying, "You listen to Dave Ramsey? We work for Dave Ramsey." And so it just kind of progressed. They offered for us to come out and interview Dave. So we got there as soon as we could and took that opportunity. I wasn't going to let that go.
Very cool. Now you are obviously doing this for a living, and you're no longer on your ramen noodle diet.
Right.
So how is it working out for you as far as a full-time career?
Been amazing. Pod Show has been just such a blessing to us. We, like I said, 5 months to the date after we started the show, we were able to announce that we were quitting our day job, and that's because of Pod Show and because of sponsors. And it's been an incredible ride. I mean, they've enabled us to make more than we've ever made before in our lives, and so that we put most of that into equipment and making the production better, just to increase our production value. But I can't say enough good things about Pod Show, just because they've enabled us to do this for a living, and I wake up every morning thankful and just kind of like, whoa, this is my job.
So it's still kind of unreal sometimes.
Yeah, it is sometimes. It's a day-to-day job, and not job, because I don't want to use that word because I love what I do, but I do it on a day-to-day basis. But then every once in a while I'll just realize, wow, this really is what I do. And there aren't, a whole lot of people that are being able to say that at this point. And I can't wait until the day that I see more and more people quitting their day jobs to podcast full time, if that's what they want.
So for somebody out there that may be considering that, somebody that is just truly passionate about podcasting, so in your opinion, do you think that it's too late to get on the bandwagon to make it full time? Or do you think you see a trend where more and more people will be able to do that?
Absolutely, more and more people will be able to do that. Podcasting needs to grow, and podcasting needs to become the business that it can be, and that is going to require more of an audience than we have currently. But definitely, if that is what your goal is, pay attention to what the people did that have been able to do it, and keep the thought in your mind that you do need to set yourself apart in some format. There are a ton of tech shows out there. So if tech is what you're interested in, go with tech, but make it different. Do something that's going to really stand out.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. And so, let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and open up. If anybody is in the chat room, we're recording this interview live on TalkShoe.com, a wonderful service that Stephanie and I use for many of our TV show fan podcasts. There are many of you who are in the chat room but not dialed in. You can dial in at any moment now. There are instructions up on the right-hand corner of the screen at the top. And I invite you, if you'd like to ask Callie any questions, we'll open up the floor for you. Just hit the request to talk button once dialed in. But Callie, I want to ask you now, if you wouldn't mind telling us, what are some of the things that you see coming up in the future for geekbrief.tv? Or I realize you launched iCali, which is kind of like the Apple, galore kind of news coverage. But I've kind of seen a little hint of something more to come from you. And can you give us some insight into some of those things?
Sure. Right now, we're working on a few different projects, some of which I don't really want to go into detail at the moment, but DearCali.com is one project that I started, and I got so overloaded with questions. It's basically a blog where I publicly answer tech questions, and I did that because I always get tech questions in email, and I respond to them, and then I realized I'm answering the same questions over and over. So why don't I make that a public thing, and that'll give people a resource to go to if they need help, and it'll also save me a little bit of work, just to be able to say, hey, here's the answer, and I don't have to redo it. Just for my sanity,
Right.
And so that's something I have been struggling to keep up with. But I'm getting to the point where I'm able to answer more and more because we were able to hire an assistant to help us with some of the tasks that take up so much of our time. So I'm getting to answer more DearCali.com questions now. So I'm happy about that. And with Geek Brief, we're experimenting a lot. And this isn't necessarily for Geek Brief. Some of it is, some of it isn't. Skype interviews with video have been an interest of ours ever since we interviewed Leo Laporte on Skype in 2006. And, the audio interview on a Skype connection is really, really complicated. And so we figured video would be near to impossible, but it's actually really simple if you have the right setup. And so we've been really experimenting with that and trying to get a better and better quality from Skype video. And we're having a blast with that. I learned something new each time we do it. And I think I'm going to put up a page when we launch a site that we're going to release all of these shows on, these interviews that I've done. I think I'm going to put up a page like, this interview, I learned this. This interview, I learned this. And it's little things like make sure the person isn't positioned right in the middle of the screen because if you have it upscaled, there's a pop-up menu that sometimes comes up if something happens on the computer.
Yes,
and you can't get it to go away. It happened on Paul Colligan's interview.
Yes.
I ran out of battery or something, and so I had to move the mouse and to say go away. And then there's this little pop-up box, and you can't make that go away. It just goes away on its own time, and I think it's 5 seconds. And in a video, that's a huge long time.
Yeah.
So it's just finding all the quirks and the things to make it a better experience.
Very cool. So anything else that you want to share about new technology, new things that you're trying out, or you're going to wait to unveil some of the other stuff later?
I think we'll wait on the rest.
Okay.
Just still playing with my $2,000 coffee maker. I saw some people in the chat room talking about it.
That was amazing. Talk about timing,
one.
huh?
Coffee is essential in the tech world.
That was an amazing story. Now, let me ask you, obviously iTunes has really been a great asset to podcasting and bringing the podcasting to almost every portable media device out there that's on the market. Now, there was talk with Paul Colligan. I know that he's got his hands on the Zune 2 already.
Yes.
And there's a lot of talk about the new support for podcasting. And you made a comment that perhaps Microsoft might be embrace podcasting even more than Apple. Is that what I heard you say?
That is what you heard. I heard me say yes. I can't really talk about that right now.
Okay.
I'm under embargo until tomorrow. So,
darn, I scheduled this a day too early. Man.
You'll have to wait for the Paul Colligan interview.
All righty.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. Just hearing that for me is good enough because honestly, and of course Leo Laporte has mentioned this, that for podcasting to really take the next step or the next level into being mainstream, it has to be on every desktop. And if Microsoft does that, that's going to be amazing for us. And so I won't push you to say anything more, but all I can say is exactly. So put all of your out of your head, but we can already assume and imagine beyond what you could say to us right now anyway. So where can
don't let your imagination go too wild there.
Well, let me ask you this. How can we find out? You said wait till the Paul Colligan interview. When is that and where can we find it?
Well, I could release it tomorrow, but I really want you can find it at www.geekbrief.tv. It'll either be released tomorrow, Monday, or Tuesday.
Okay.
And so if it's not released tomorrow, we're going to be doing a Project PC, the GBTV PC project that we have going. We finally got it working, so we've got to release a show about that.
Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It's such a relief.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, and I really want to say thank you for joining me here as a special guest on the podcast Answer Man.
Thank you for having me. This was a blast.
Yeah, and anytime that you have any insight or anything that you want to add, you're welcome here at the podcast Answer Man and gspn.tv. And we just are glad to have you join us today and share some of your insights with us.
Thanks.
Well, everybody, that is going to wrap it up here for this edition of the podcast Answer Man. You can find more about Cali at geekbrief.tv. I strongly encourage you to go check out her show if you have not already done so. It is a wonderful short video on almost a daily basis of great new tech gadgetry. If you're an early adopter of technology and you love gadgets, and you have a little bit of a budget to play around with, perhaps you might want to check out geekbrief.tv. Awesome show. And again, we'll thank you very much for joining us here for this episode. And that's going to wrap it up. We'll be back again next time with more technology how-to when it comes to podcasting. God bless and goodbye.
I'm going to tell you what. I have one person on here that has been on by phone, and it's, let's see, Andrew. Andrew, you're now unmuted. Did you want to say anything? I knew that you couldn't hit request to talk.
How long does it take to actually produce one 4-minute video?
At this point, it takes anywhere from 8 to 10 hours. When we first started, it took 12 hours and above. And so the reason I give a range is because sometimes things go wrong with videos. Sometimes the conversion process doesn't happen the same way that it happened yesterday. And so there are these little technical issues. But, we can, at this point, get it up in 8 hours probably, the whole process.
And how many reviews of equipment did you go through to get? I mean, the video is unbelievably clear. How many revisions, how many different cameras did you go through to get to, you use an amazing camera now, but like the camera, how many different types of like revisions of equipment did you go through to get to where you are now?
Yeah, this is mainly, I think this is our fourth camera. We had two SD cameras high-end, and then we started out with a Canon ZR200. And don't ever do that if you're going to do video because it doesn't have a line in. It doesn't have a line out, line in. Sorry, but you don't because you have to route audio wrong on that camera. Anyway, so we've gone through about 4 setups.
Video is unbelievably clear. I'm so impressed with how amazingly clear. It's like clearer than cable. It's unbelievable.
And thanks. We still feel like we have like a huge amount of production to do to get it even better because every time we see it, we're not happy with it.
Well, that's all my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Andrew. So Mark is asking, when is Neil going to put his mug in front of the camera? Is that ever going to happen?
He has.
Has he? Which episode?
Mark, have you not been paying attention? When I was with Rubella, he was on there for a couple seconds because we were doing like a little spoof where I couldn't...
I remember the bedroom scene, but I don't remember seeing him.
Right after that, William got on, and William the intern.
Yes, I remember that.
Then right after William was Neil.
Oh.
Neil is always on Ustream, so if you join us on our Ustreams, he'll very willingly get on camera. And he's been on a few times. He was on the Dig the Code. The back of his head is pretty famous if you knew who he was.
Let's see here. It says, yes, it seems that podcasting has hit a plateau. Callie, do you agree? If so, what do you see is the reason?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying about that. I don't think it's as much of a plateau as we think it is, but it definitely feels that way. What I see going on behind the scenes is rumblings of podcasting in the old world or in the real world, whatever you want to call it. And I think that we're about to come through that. But if you ask people who don't have any podcasting experience, if they know what a podcast is, I'm hearing more and more people have heard of the word, but they don't know exactly what it is. And so I think we're about to turn around and see the majority of people understanding what a podcast is and not think I'm asking what a podcast is.
Right.
That brings out, a whole different conversation.
I've never had that one, honestly.
You haven't? It must be how I say it then, because every time.
A podcast. I had never even considered that. That is a funny story. And you get that a lot?
Yes, I do.
Oh my gosh.
And people kind of like, when I had rubella, I was getting 7 vials of blood taken out, and the nurse asked me what I do, just trying to keep me from fainting.
Right.
And I said it, and she kind of looked at me. She was poking at me, and she looked at me, stopped what she was doing, and said, "A podcast?" And the look on her face was like, I'm a nurse, right? Like, I'm in the medical field. You shouldn't be telling me this. And so, I get that a lot. It must be how I say it somehow. I'm trying.
My wife always yells at me because whenever I talk about podcasting, it's always, I speak every word normal, but then I say podcast.
Oh.
So, yeah, we're going to do a live podcast tonight. And she said, what are you, from Boston when you say that? So, I agree with you, I actually remember when I started blogging, and I remember using the term weblog, and I was doing static HTML pages, and updating my own archives. I would take the post I just made and add it to the archive.html and create a new index.html, updating, of course, each month, putting new links to different archives. It was crazy, and then all of a sudden, movable type came out. But the fact is people ask me all the time, Cliff, what is this? What are you doing? And it's called blogging, and nobody knew what blogging was. Today, everybody knows what blogging is.
Right. And we just have to hit that point with podcasting. And people are asking in the chat room, is the term podcasting holding us back? I thought that for a while. I'm not sure at this point. I don't know what I think of the word at this point, because I wish I refer to them as shows. I refer to the people doing them, producers. I go back and forth, but I like show. It is a show. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And when I explain it as a TV show or a radio show that's online. So I don't know that we can get away from the word at this point.
Yeah, I think the podcast is a word. Obviously, with it being the word of the year in the American Heritage Dictionary or whatever, that podcasting, the word podcast is here to stay. But the way people talk about it is much different. I remember early on trying to explain the word podcasting and the whole idea of syndication and subscription and delivery via RSS. And today I don't do that. I still use the word podcast quite often, but when they say, what is a podcast? And I'm like, it's an internet radio talk show or an internet video show.
And people totally latch onto that. They understand what it is because it relates to the world that they know, which is a TV show, and a radio show.
But I love this. I still love to tie that internet video and internet radio show to the term podcast because I know they're going to hear it elsewhere. And,
exactly.
And it's kind of like, in church, there are a lot of terms that seeker-sensitive kind of churches out there. They try to steer away from words that people won't understand. It's like, no, you can't really do that. You have to use the words and then define clearly what they are and at least help people to understand. And that way you don't raise these people who are ignorant of this technology that they love so much. So that's where I'm coming from. But yeah, there seems to be this move from people to go from talking about podcasting and instead call it new media.
Right. And I know if people who don't know of our world understand new media either. I think they understand it a little bit, but wouldn't be quite sure what we mean by that.
Right. And I think each person means something different.
Right. Somebody asked, how do we make our shows stand out against the thousands of other podcasts? And I want to answer that because I don't think I can give you an answer is the point. It is your creativity. It's your mindset that can come up with something that says, whoa, to the other podcasters and the other shows. And just consider what really grabs your attention. What would you be passing through? What phrases would you kind of stop at if you saw them browsing through? I think that no one can tell you. It's
Yep.
just it's your creativity and work with it and play with it and figure that out.
And I think it's important to be on the forefront of doing something new and different as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
timing does have a lot to do with things, and the timing that we had was right after the release of the video iPod, and but it doesn't have to be everything.
Yeah. Very cool. And so somebody told Merlin to go in and repost his question. Let's see here. There's an arrow back. Are you still involved with the Showgirls podcast? They don't seem your style. What's that all about?
Showgirls is a show that Franklin McMahon from Rumor Girls. Do you know Rumor Girls?
I know Rumor Girls.
Okay, he's the producer of that. So he had the idea or a bunch of people had the idea to get the girls of Pod Show together to do a show, and so that's just I don't even think we're on a strict timeline. It's every couple weeks. It's hard to get everybody together once every week. It's just a chat show. We talk about what's going on and stuff that's going on in the news. So I do it when I can. I'm not always able to make their appointments, though.
Very cool. Well, folks, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here. Thank you very much for coming and joining this live interview with Cali. Cali, again, thank you so much. This has been a very awesome evening of conversation, and very glad to have this.
Thank you so much.
This show is brought to you by TalkShoe. Create your own internet talk show. Check it out at TalkShoe.com.